To begin with, Poison Control is not a bad game. It's a fun experience with a nice gameplay loop, but it needs some serious patchwork before I can conceivably recommend it to anyone. Why I say this is because despite the game having a visual style, characters, music, gameplay loop, and general plot that I like, it's also got some bugs, which are either annoying or game breaking. But before elaborating further on these issues with the game, how about we discuss what it's all about first? Poison Control is a new JRPG from Nipponichi Soft for the Nintendo Switch. This new title also goes by the name Shoujo Jigoku no Doku Musume, which, again, my Japanese suck if you've ever actually watched any of my reviews, so don't judge me. But that directly translates to Girl Hell. In the game, you play as either a male or female character who awakens in what seems to be hell specifically for girls, called Bell's Hell. There, they meet a thick with 2 C's waifu of dreams creature known as a klesha. The klesha are manifestations of female powerful emotions in the spiritual realm. The klesha who initially attacks our protagonists in an attempt to steal their body inevitably becomes entangled with them in a weird sort of symbiosis that you'd expect to see in some kind of ecchi anime. Before long, it's made apparent that klesha who are capable of sharing a bond with a human are known as Poisonettes. Ours has lost her memory along with the protagonist, and as such, she goes by the name Poisonette. From there, the two characters resolve to share a body while trying to find their way to heaven to have their wish granted. The whole concept behind this is that by getting to heaven, you can have any wish granted, which can include wishing yourself back to life. As you play, you'll be introduced to more characters, including a rival of dreams, a solo black Poisonette, and the waifu of dreams herself, Dorami Mitogawa. Very nice. Each of them are fully voiced in Japanese and sports some splendiferous designs similar to the Disgaea series. Those similarities, however, are not just surface level. There seems to be a myriad of Disgaea references littered throughout this game, and I think fans will love it. That being said, though visually it may seem inspired by the Disgaea series, Poison Control does have a look of its own. To begin with, the game is very pink, sporting a pink poison effect background and even a sort of fog filter. This filter effect sometimes fades away like a mist, but quickly returns like a poorly optimized game suffering from popping. So far, it's not clear if that's an intentional thing or a bug, but I think it should have a filter slider. If so, I turned the filter off completely to better appreciate the splendiferous visual appeal of the 3D models. They're nicely designed but pale in comparison to their 2D counterparts, models which sadly have few opportunities to be appreciated in their entirety. Having a gallery would have helped with this, but who knows, maybe the developers were working on a very tight budget. That's a question that unfortunately many aspects of this game will force you to ask. In a sense, I made the same excuse as to why there are no actual menus during missions, or why the main menu is relegated to just having a few options which are themselves limited. In fact, the game doesn't even point the character in the direction of the main menu. Finding it was an act of luck on my part, and that's sad because it's highly important to completing the game. While in the hub area, you can access your loadout via the main menu by pressing X, and you'll need to do so. Early in the experience, the game is a cakewalk, but it quickly becomes challenging to the point where you'll need to cycle through different abilities to counter the enemy types. Well, that's when it works. Unfortunately, sometimes when you switch your loadout, it just won't work. It won't switch while at the same time showing you that it has, and then when you're in a mission unable to change into the weapon that you want, you may find yourself raging. Oh, and the problems don't just end there. There's a boss battle, the first one, in which the game will lock up all player control if you attempt to use Poisonette to clean up any of the poison the boss spews. As such, you'll find yourself rushing attacks to finish off the boss quickly without any tactical play in mind. It's possible to beat her, but that along with the loadout issues, it's just too much for a recommendation. It's probably possible to complete the game with blind tenacity and rush to play, but that's no fun. The way Poison Control should be played is by choosing 2 primary weapons, a heavy weapon, 1 defensive, and another to alter your special traits, like having more money dropped by clashers upon their defeat. It's a gameplay loop that is heavily focused on this system along with another, that being the symbiosis between Poisonette and the protagonist. When working correctly, the player is able to switch to Poisonette at any time by holding the A button. While playing as Poisonette, you'll be able to clean up poison by running over it or by creating a loop around the poison that connects back to the main character. When partnered with the main character's first-person shooting mechanics, you'll find an impressively fun gameplay loop. The plot is also good, but like the rest of the gameplay, it is flawed. Here we have a nice dynamic between Poisonette, the protagonist, their rivals, and other characters. Poisonette and the main character also have a sort of relationship building aspect which pops up before and after each mission. In it, you'll be able to choose among 3 dialogue options which will affect one of her traits. The traits will gain you a boost and her dialogue will vary depending on the choices you make. These choices also affect gameplay, like the character being faster or having more loadout slots. All of this is good, but along with it we have this uninteresting imposing radio show which interrupts the flow after and before each mission to offer exposition. It's got good voice acting and some cool Easter eggs, but after the first 3 you'll be praying for the skip button. Well, that's all the bad we have. Poison Control has a banging soundtrack, and this time there are no issues. In fact, I was seriously surprised to learn just how good it is. Due to it being a 2 gig installation, I assumed the game was either short or lacking in content. Those assumptions were thankfully incorrect for the most part, and the game is brilliantly fully voiced in Japanese and has what is arguably my favorite soundtrack since Haven, a game I think you should all have played by now, but I digress. The game's OST features mind-blowing techno-electric beats like Mirror and Anklet to get the blood thumping, but it has range. When the mood calls for it, we get some emotionally hard-gripping acoustics like tear stains. It's a wonderful mix that is easily my favorite aspect of the entire experience, and that's saying a lot because, as you know, thickness is life.
The game is exceptional, Nalu. These waifus out here, they got cheeks. They thick as hell. Ryza would be proud, to be honest. So, yeah, the game is exceptional. It's very, very exceptional. I'm looking forward to writing a review of this game. Just because of the thickness. I'll have to make sure to mention this. That one of the best aspects of the game is that most of the enemies, if not all of them, are quality thick.
So, with all I've had to say so far about this game, here's my final verdict. Sadly, despite rooting for this one, I'm unfortunately going to have to recommend skipping it for now. If the game were patched to fix the broken boss battles and the loadout issues, then I'd switch my opinion from wait to an instant purchase. As mentioned before, it's a visually pleasant title with interesting characters, banging music, a fun gameplay loop, and a generally likable plot. In a sense, it could become a hidden gem or a cult classic, but first, needs a serious patch. Everything else about it is either perfect or quirky enough to dismiss. Reviews like this one are created thanks in part to the support of spectacular viewers like yourself. To make sure you don't miss out on anything we do, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you wish to support us even further, you can subscribe to our other channels, the podcast That Beautiful Life, use our Amazon affiliate links, or donate to our Patreon. Links to all are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.